everyone, and welcome back to another Telling Tales installment of Ainara's One Big Question. Today, my very special guest is none other than David A. Robertson. David A. Robertson is an Indigenous graphic novelist and writer from Winnipeg, Manitoba. He's the author of numerous books for young readers, including his children's book, When We Were Alone. He's acclaimed by a series, The Reckoner, his middle grade book, The Barren Grounds, and On the Trapline, which comes out in May of 2021. Hello, David!
Hello! How are you?
I'm great! How are you?
I'm doing okay.
Today we're talking about your new book, On the Trapline, that comes out in the best month of the year, my birthday month, May. I've read it and I loved it. But before I ask my one big question, can you tell us briefly what happens in this beautiful story?
It's about a grandfather and a grandson who go out to the grandfather's community and then the grandfather's trapline where he used to live when he was a child. And he just teaches the grandson about life in the community, his experience at school, and then what life looked like for him on the land.
I was just so happy reading this book. It just completely warmed my heart. So yes, definitely. It's just a very warm, happy story. And I mean, so for my one big question, okay, so here we go. The boy in this book is so excited and fascinated by this place and his grandpa's story. He's just full of wonder and wants to learn new things. And then we have the grandpa who is happy to visit his old home and childhood and to share it with his grandson. They're both on a journey of discovery and rediscovery and then connection and reconnection. So what was the inspiration behind these two characters?
It's actually about my father and I. You know, I wrote a book about it as well called Blackwater. I feel like On the Trapline is like a spiritual sequel to Blackwater. A couple of years ago, my dad asked me to go take him back to his trapline, and he hadn't been there for 70 years, so a long time. And we went there together. And I remember at that time, my dad was, he's passed away since, so he was a little frail and a little weak. And when we got onto the boat, onto the water, he just looked younger, and he seemed younger. And that whole day, just there was kind of this like vibrancy to him that I hadn't seen for a long time. And I feel like the land was giving him life. And so we had this beautiful day together. And he just taught me the same things that this grandfather taught his grandson. And when we left, I felt like I had also found another home. And so when I wrote this book, I was just thinking about our trip together. And so that grandfather is really just my dad. And I just made myself a kid, which isn't that hard to do because I'm pretty immature and silly. And so that makes the story a very personal, very special story for me, because when I read it, I think about my father and I, and it was actually the last thing that he read before he died of mine, which is also makes it special to me.
I was wondering if you actually wanted to read my favorite part of the book with me.
Yes, of course. I would love to do that.
I see all kinds of things. Beaver dams, eagles flying overhead, and paintings on rocks. I see the sun climb higher and shadows get shorter. I see blue water turn to black. That's when Mashom's eyes light up.
He points to a boulder by some thick trees. That's my trapline, he says. Kiweo means he goes home.
Yay! I like this part of the story because of the grandpa's happiness. I mean, when it says his eyes light up. And what I also loved is that on each page, there's a translation of a Swampy Cree word that relates to the page. And for this one, you see the translation of he goes home, which just warmed my heart. And even though they don't say that exactly on the page, it's just, you can see it. And then, I don't know, I just loved it. So why did you add these little translations on each page?
Yeah, that's a great question. For a couple of reasons, I guess. One of them is that I think it's important to have our language represented in literature. I think that's something that kids like to see. It means a lot to kids. When I first read When We Were Alone to a classroom of Cree children in the city here, they all said their favorite part was just seeing their language. So it was made them feel, I think, empowered. Like it made them feel seen too. Cree is this language that really gives you more than just a word. It gives you like a phrase, an emotion, a description, and I think it's very poetic. And so, yeah, like words like kiweo, when you translate it, it means he goes home. But I think that evokes a lot of imagery, emotions, beyond just a word.
Yes, I mean, it's really beautiful. And what you said about when you went to go read When We Were Alone and it helped kids feel seen, I mean, definitely. And that's why I love reading all these stories that have, diversity and representation. And I want to share these with these other kids, because I feel like whenever I read these books and whenever I see myself represented in books, it makes me feel happy and it makes me feel seen. So I know that it's going to do that for other kids. Everybody, make sure to check out On the Trapline, as well as When We Were Alone and Barren Grounds. So, yes, thank you again, David A. Robertson, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Go to the Telling Tales website to register your household or your entire classroom for this event. When you register, you'll be emailed a package of bonus presentations, cool trivia, and classroom activities, along with a chance to win the books written by these amazing storytellers.